So for a while now, I've been testing out the LAMZU Paro Aurora, and after I finally put in enough hours, I'm confident in this review, in the product, and what I think about it. So let's get formalities out of the way. Number one, I use pincer claw grip. My hands are 18 by 11. And much like in other videos, I should tell everyone that the sensor implementation of the 3950 here is basically as good as it gets, and you should not be worried about this. LAMZU is tried and tested, and much like in every other video I've made so far, shape is king. And for me, I found that ergos just feel so absolutely amazing in my hands compared to ambidextrous mice that I simply just want to use those only. Now, to start off with, normally I'd talk about the good things that the mouse does and then the bad things. But in this case, I'd like to start off with the bad, because there is such a little amount that I think that this doesn't do very well compared to the positives. So I feel like it's better to get the negatives out of the way. For one, this has a decent amount of side flex or side wobble on the left and right clicks, which it is not the worst. Absolutely not. And it's not something I've actively noticed in-game, only something I've noticed when I went to go and check. And it is nowhere near as bad as a GPX. Well, it's a GPW that I have on my desk, but let me find it and show you. So it is, nowhere near as bad as a GPW or a GPX, right? Because, I'm basically pulling the mouse halfway apart here. But it certainly could be better and could be improved. Now, the other thing that I don't like about this is its size, which this is more of a personal grievance because I have a specific claw style that plays well with something that falls in between medium and small and not small. When I say this, what I mean is that I think that the shape of this is so unintrusive as compared to other ergos that, for one, I think that's actually a plus. But for my personal use case, I often catch myself thinking, but not just actively playing, but also passively using the mouse, daily driving it, right? I catch myself thinking, oh, this doesn't sit so securely and snugly in my palm and my hand as I would have liked it to do compared to like an X-Lite or a Dave or an E1 or hell, even the F01. So I often catch myself thinking, why not just scoop it out and do F-tip? And you could F-tip this. You absolutely can. It is so small and so unintrusive in the hand that you have a metric ton of finger play here available. But if you really just wanted to one-trick pony fingertip and only do that, I would not at all go looking for an ergo. And I would, much rather look at WL Mouse or G-Wolves or some of the pulsar mice for fingertips specifically. But those are all the complaints and the negatives I have. And now for all the positives. So there's some I'm going to be rapid firing, and there's some that I'm just going to be going into more detail with. So first of all, WebDriver, yes sir. The skates are really, really good out of the box, and you get 2 pairs. The coating is great and works well in basically any weather condition I can think of. But I've only tried the weather conditions that have high humidity and high temperatures. So keep that in mind. But even when my hands are cold, the coating is not like the mouse is going to grip or the mouse is going to fly out of my hand from the coating not being good enough. This has great build quality for what it's worth. And like I really, if I squeeze and go hard on it, I cannot make it budge a single millimeter. So very good on them. I have no clue what kind of plastic they're using this with because this is a full shell. So fantastic lamp, so keep that up. Something I'm neutral on is the side buttons. I don't really use them at all anymore. I've kind of removed them from my playstyle, but they feel pretty good. There's like there's no pre and post travel, not a lot of pre-travel, not a lot of post-travel either. And while they're not as crispy as something like the side buttons on the Viper V3, they're certainly not as horrid as the GPX side buttons are, which at this point is more of a feature than a bug. Now, the more descriptive things. For one, I think that this is the king of flexibility. Now, when I say this, I mean in terms of what grips you can use on this. As I alluded to previously, this one is super small. around the same size as a Feynman F01. So that would be a Pulsar X-Lite Mini 1.5, like something in between the Mini and the medium sized. But here it feels ever so slightly smaller. So I would argue that the Paro Aurora actually feels more like a Pulsar Mini shape or something akin to an EC3. And because of the way they've done the curves and the like little sticky outy bit for the thumb, this feels super unintrusive for an Ergo. And while you can still claw it, I also see how you could palm it and how you can fingertip it. Now, I personally don't recommend palm grip to anyone for any reason whatsoever, because I think that it's super restrictive, and I personally don't encourage that. But if you like that grip and you play well with it, I say why not? Secondly, I would say the argument for the palm grip here is weaker than all the other ones due to how small it is in stature. Even hands like mine, 18 by 11. Do you see how much overhang there is on the right click? It is insane how much overhang there is. And I'm not even trying to make it up. I'm just, palm gripping it. If you really want to palm grip it though, there's a little ledge right here. And the mouse click is below that ledge, so you don't get your fingers caught up in anything, which is very good. I think this excels at claw grip and fingertip, mainly because it is so unintrusive in its height as well on the mid hump here that you can kind of scoot it back and then forward and instantly engage in a fingertip grip, which for an Ergo, that is very, very good. Now keep in mind, I've never used an EC3, so I cannot confirm or deny that. But for the first proper mini Ergo that I've ever tried in my life, this is very, very good and very impressive, very well made. Another thing to talk about is that its battery life is absolutely absurd. I run this at 2000 Hertz, 1600 DPI, and I use it on average around, I would say, 4 to 5 hours per day, not including weekends. And I really rarely have to charge this. Maybe once every week, maybe twice every week, but that is not a whole lot compared to how often you do it with other mice. I rebound the DPI button to be competition mode in case I want to use that. And then obviously, when you have the competition mode enabled, it will drain battery faster. But yeah, battery life wise, it's certainly not as good as a Dave, a Viper, a GPX, or some of the other big brands, but it's getting there and it's really, really good. One thing that this does very well is that it has a optical encoder for a scroll wheel instead of a normal mechanical encoder, which essentially just fixes a lot of longevity issues. And I think is great because it's completely immune to that. And as far as I'm aware, it's also immune to things like dust. On the topic of the buttons, left and right click are optical switches. I cannot for the life of me find the name of them, but they feel rather crisp and they are just heavy enough to not be accidentally clicked, unlike on the E1 where it uses Huano mechanicals, and they also feel very, very crisp and snappy. But there are so many times where I misclicked because I like to rest my fingers on the mouse, left and right clicks. And through a combination of the click design and the switches used, they are super light and super sensitive. And if I look at them funny, they will be actuated. So yeah, if you ever want to avoid that issue, that is also something to keep in mind. And obviously, optical switches last longer. So that's also a longevity thing. Now, something that I think is worth to note is that the quality here you get is very good. The size is a little on the smaller side for my personal taste, but I can see how the shape flexibility is something you'd buy. And really, for the price of $120 US, I don't think it's that bad of a deal when you compare it to the competition. This is not that far off from a good quality Pulsar or a WaveXLR in terms of like how good it feels in the hand, the competent software and sensor implementation, as well as the quality control in there. It does not feel that far off, but it doesn't cost nearly as much as like the E1 or is priced the same, I believe, as the X-Lite V4. So in that sense, I think that while certainly 3-figure price tag for a mouse is a little expensive, you certainly are not getting ripped off here. So yeah, all in all, if you're looking for a mini shape with good build quality, solid innovation in the scroll wheel, and very good clicks, flexible for claw grip, and fingertip grip, and you don't have the world's most massive hands, I would say I would only recommend this to people that have like a maximum hand length of 18 centimeters. I think as soon as you get into 19 centimeter territory, you start getting fingers that are too long. And I'm not too sure about the hand width. I would probably say anywhere between 9 to 11 centimeters and you're fine. Anything below that, I doubt you'll like it. But if you're within that category of someone that likes to either full claw, like just only claw, or fingertip, or swap between the two, and you really want an ergo, I think this is worth the money. That's what I would get. And last but not least, thank you so much for watching. I'm still very interested in doing video reviews and, live streaming, stuff like this, because I really do enjoy it. And because of economical constraints, I only can afford to do probably one mouse review per month. Now, I have a list of a few ergonomic mice that I want to go through, and I'd be interested in hearing whether or not you guys would want a EC2 or EC3 review, a Tevolution Terra Pro review, or a GPX2 Dex review next. Let me know in the comments, and thank you all for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Bye.